Hi everyone, Richard here at Kelvin Wazoo, bringing you another video, and I am getting back on track with my series of videos about car seat headrest. I mean, I really love what Will Toledo has been doing in car seat headrest. I say it in complete honesty and sincerity, no irony at all, that I believe him to be among the most important singer-songwriters, composers, musical artists of the last 100 years. I mean, what he is doing is, I'm not saying he's like Bob Dylan or he's like Frank Zappa or he's like Miles Davis, but nonetheless, he is doing things with particularly popular music that is really shaking the cage. And when I say the last 100 years, I'm also putting him in the company of people like Stravinsky, Edgar Varese, John Cage, composers, again, who took a form of music and just really shook the hell out of it. What has been going on in many degrees with popular music is kind of what's happened with music during the Romantic period. When you have Brahms and Beethoven. If we go back to the Baroque period and then we include Bach, these are huge influences in the development of music. But it got to a point where, while great music was being created, there wasn't a whole lot of musical innovation going on until early to mid 20th century. And we start getting people who are really shaking things up and doing things differently, and that happened in popular music as well. As great as the Beatles were, they recognized that they were kind of stuck in a rut, I think anyway, and I think perhaps John Lennon probably saw this earlier. And so they even, they needed to shift, they needed to change. While a large part of popular music of the time just continued with that same, working song structure, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and all that. But then you had people to shake things up, like, Bob Dylan, and Frank Zappa, and I see Will Toledo doing that in that same company. So a lot of high praise there as I go into this next video, which is going to talk about his first release with Matador Records, and that is Teens of Style. Very nice. Cool label we got there. So yeah, when he signed with Matador, he needed to or wanted to, give them something right away. He was working on which I think became his next release with them, and that's Teens of Style. Which, when I cover Teens of Denial, I'm going to have to cover that one along with How to Leave Town, because the two are just so tightly connected. But what he did is he went back into his catalog and he picked some songs to remaster and created this compilation. It's not a greatest hits because none of these were hits. They weren't on the radio. They weren't, in the musical mainstream, so they don't qualify as being hits. But they were songs that, he went back, that he had in his catalog, he reworked them, and then put them into this record, so that it could be, the first thing to deliver to Matador. and there's some interesting stories and interesting ironies in the songs that he selected going with this. So this compilation of reworked songs, which was released October 30th in 2015, include, all right, songs that first appeared on My Back Is Killing Me Baby, 5 songs from that, from My Back Is Killing Me Baby, 3 songs from Monomania, and 1 song from Starving While Living, although that 1 song is kind of also, I think, appeared in a similar format on the album 3, all right, which I've already covered, the numbered albums, in a different video. I'll have a link to these in the in the Down Under. And then there were 3 from 3, although one of them is being called a brand new song or something like that. And actually, the songs, which I'll get to, I'll talk just briefly about these different releases, so to speak, these different recordings. My Back Is Killing Me Baby is from March of 2011, and it's got some other good songs on it. For example, I really like Happy News for Sadness. I love the simple guitar, and I kind of asked myself, why wasn't this included in Teens of Style? I mean, the line in that song, you can never tell the truth, but you can tell something that sounds like it. I just love that line. Stoop Kid is another good one. Again, that line, the concrete breaks my heart again. The song kind of reflects his isolation and loneliness that he was experiencing during his first semester at college. I like Lawns also, because it makes me think of a black and white video, and he's like narrating this story of him and his dad picking up trash in the neighborhood because the wind blew their trash bins over, and it's cold and miserable outside, and then so I can see this like black and white, almost Ingrid or Ingmar Bergman type film of them out in the neighborhood doing this, and he's out there and it's cold and fucking miserable, and then he looks up and his dad is gone. Yeah. And then the other song on there I really like, from My Back Is Killing Me Baby, is POW. Monomania, which was released in August of 2012, is not a bad one. There's a few songs on it that I like. I like Overexposed, that's a good tune. And I also like Souls and Sleeping with Strangers. And then Starving While Living, that was released in November of 2012. And the only other song on it that I like, really like, I mean, it's not bad, but the song It's Only Sex, that's a really good song. Now these songs, I don't know, they could be pulled together into like a B-side compilation, of other leftovers, because one of the things I enjoy about Will Toledo is the thread and connections between his songs. I mean, they really are extensions of each other in many respects. Very much like the project object concept that Zappa, put together. Only with perhaps leaving a door less open or making a door less open, do we get something that diverges greatly from past material and ventures into a brand new realm. But that doesn't mean that he still couldn't be interweaving all these concepts. But anyway, these songs, that's enough to put out another record, so, we got Teens of Style and we have Teens of Denial. So maybe this could be called Teens in Piles or Teens with Piles, whatever. I just think he's got some material he could go back in and rework, but I'm sure he's busy enough as it is getting ready now that the pandemic is lifting, for that time when he can start touring again with the others in the band. So let's get into the different tracks here of Teens of Style and talk directly about them. So the first track, Sunburned Shirts, this is from My Back Is Killing Me, Baby. It's got some very simple repetitive lines, with each one with a different rejoinder. The different lines, the rejoinder is the same, and I forgot how much it hurt to, such as, the begins with, I haven't looked at the sun for so long, I'd forgotten how much it hurt to. So, a very simple, kind of a buoyant song. And Will has said that it describes how miserable he felt during his freshman year at VCU in Richmond. So he was feeling terribly alone and, quote unquote, oppressively observed, he believed by, others in the campus community. The song kind of begins with this distortion, as if it is, coming out of a dark past. But yet, then when the melody develops, it's a very bright melody. It's popish. And it kind of is representative, I think, in a way of his non-ironic irony. That something that I think in some ways, I think he's rather proud of. That he can say ironic things to people and they all think he's being ironic when in fact he really isn't. And therein lies the irony. Then we go to track 2, which is also from My Back Is Killing Me, Baby, the drum. And Will has said afterward or later that he realized that, a quote I have from him, the lyrics have got a real Paul McCartney feel to them. Colorful cast of characters is assembled, nothing much is done with them. Fireman rushes in from the pouring rain, etc. Allusion to Penny Lane kind of thing. But the title actually comes from a comic by Kate Wirtz, who is, I don't know for a fact if Kate Wirtz is never mind. I really don't know who Kate Wirtz is and what her relationship is with Will and the band, but she comes up frequently in terms of drawing and doing album artwork, etc. But anyway, that song is. It came from a comic that she had created. And then you've got the bridge. That inspiration, according to Will, came from a dream in which, and that bridge is, this is our lifetime and I am his creator, a young man slowly pulled apart by separate poles of gravity. This is our lifetime, and I am his creator, a young man slowly pulled apart by separate poles of gravity. It just kind of builds up, at the end. Very, really, really interesting. Track 3 is Something Soon, which is, again, from My Back Is Killing Me, Baby. And Will has said that this song represents his hopeful anxiety after he left VCU after his first semester there and then transferred to William and Mary, in which he found to be much nicer, the vibe and everything about it so much nicer than VCU. And the song, shortly, he said, this is another quote from Will, it was featured on Blaylock's indie rock playlist shortly after I recorded it in original form in 2011, which more than doubled my listening audience at the time. So this was a really significant song for him in terms of reaching out and bringing in more listeners. Again, the bridge at the end samples something from his very first concert that he did while he was in 8th grade. So it's not necessarily a direct reference there, but it's sampling some material from them. It's a happy, upbeat, noisy pop song, kind of like what you would hear in a 60s love song. And perhaps this is a little bit more, or another example of his slick irony. I will say that I like the remix better than the original from My Back Is Killing Me Baby. All right, so track 4 is No Passion. Again, from My Back Is Killing Me Baby. This is almost dirge-like and musically reflecting the concept of having no passion for anything. The song is just reflecting or talking about going through the mundane tasks of writing letters to employers. There's a call out to David Lynch for a return to a much wanted diversion and entertainment. However, the original lyrics on My Back Is Killing Me Baby are a lot more interesting, I think, than the lyrics that were used for Teens of Style. And at the end, when he's shouting, I can never feel, it sounds almost like this exaltation. So it's not, it's the shouting isn't done with, to me, it's not being done with like anger or remorse. It's just this exaltation. I can never feel, just simple statement. Now, my favorite song, though, on the entire record is the next one, and that is Times to Die. And this comes from Monomania. And this version I do like much better than the one that was on Monomania. And the song is filled with biblical references, and at the same time, it is telling his story of what he went through signing with Matador. The refrain seems to indicate that all our chances to die in glory have passed, and now we're just kind of stuck with living. So it's like, we've all had better times to die. And we missed these opportunities. So, even though we might feel like at times, I wish I could just die, it's just, no, this isn't the time to do it, because your chance to die in a blaze of glory, that happened already. You missed it, So we've all had better times to die. Kind of reminds me of the line in Bruce Springsteen's in the song Jungle Land. And the poets down here don't write nothing at all. They just stand back and let it all be. And in the quick of the night, they reach for their moment and try to make an honest stand. But they wind up wounded, not even dead. It's, to me, there's that kind of sentiment is going on with this song at all also. It does make a lot of references through these biblical allusions to the frustrating experience of dealing with record executives. It's too late to die now. I got to deal with these jokers. And then, the whole reference of being invited to the divine council. And I just love in the divine council. Musically, that is just really good. But again, this is a biblical reference with the absolute reference to portraying the absolute dictatorial powers that God has and the blind obeisance of his angels. But at the same time, it is symbolic or an allegory for the negotiations that he was going through with the record executives when he was getting ready to sign with Matador. Now that's some irony that, he could get this put out on a record by Matador Records. So like the Divine Council is representative of any inner group that's part of the larger capitalist system, okay, and that controls our lives and quite often our destinies. So it's kind of like this beast you have to negotiate with, because to get anywhere, to get your ideas to go anywhere, and to get your ideas out, you've got to eat some shit, and that's kind of what Will is saying in the song. This again is why I believe, this is one of the reasons why I believe Will Toledo is, if he isn't already, going to be among the most significant and paradigm shifting music composers, singer-songwriters of the last 100 years. In some respects, the closing lines remind me, okay, the closing lines, is it harder to speak when you're holding the machine? Is it harder to sleep when you can hear him breathe? It's kind of reminding me of Welcome to the Machine from Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, which came prior to The Wall. But Will has said The Wall was a very significant album for him and was a major influence on him, and just in general, and perhaps also in his songwriting. So even though he cites The Wall as being this major influence, there are elements of Times to Die that remind me of of these parallels in this song to what happened to Syd Barrett when Pink Floyd, signed a record deal. And how Syd Barrett, I mean, there are a lot of things that contributed to his decline. But part of what happened, I think, with Syd was his basic rejection of being commercialized into a pop group for this commercial gain by the record company. And that disdain for the whole system was exacerbated by his profligate use of LSD. All right, go on to track six. Psst, teenagers, take off your clothes. This is from the album 3. And this is just a fun, fast-paced rock and romp. It has an oblique reference to Disney myths that Will was enamored with on Snopes, particularly one about Aladdin, where this woman who, with kids who love Disney movies, thought she heard Aladdin say, in a whispered scene, "Teenagers, take off your clothes." And she was like, "Oh my God." And I'm sure you might have read about, when all this news and speculation was going on, that the movie writers were a bunch of pedophiles at Disney Studios and that kind of thing. And that absolutely was not what Aladdin said in there. So it's just, again, the craziness of their short, sweet song. Now we go to side B, and track 7 is Strangers. I like this song a lot too. It's from My Back Is Killing Me, Baby. The melody and rhythm is very upbeat and very nonchalant. The lyrics are simpler in my mind than what I have read of what others think about them. I mean, all people are just strangers until you know them, right? And your own quirks are not necessarily faults. It just is what makes you unique. And so if you're strange and someone likes you, well, then that makes them stranger. But that's okay, because it's not because they have faults worse than yours. This is what a lot of other people seem to think. And, maybe that is what he was trying to portray, but that's not what I get out of the song. And then the whole idea of him where he's singing he isn't going to become a ghost, because he's saying, fuck this town, I'm gone. Again, some people seem to read into some other dire thing, that he isn't going to be a ghost. No, He's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a ghost. I'm not going to hang around and haunt this place because when I'm dead, I'm fucking out of here, okay? I'm done with this. And then we also see how, he mentions Michael Stipe, and that's a common theme in that we can fall into a trap. In that what a song is about, that it's speaking directly to us, it's talking about us. And, Will cuts this off, and this is the same thing that Bob Dylan had to deal with, because people thought Bob Dylan, his lyrics were brilliant, but it was like, oh, you're speaking directly to me. You're talking about it, I know you so well, Bob. And Bob is like, no, you don't. You don't know me at all. And, I think Will is also trying to say that maybe people are reading a little bit too much into his song lyrics. They're just songs. They're great songs. And yeah, all great art is going to come from personal experience, but they're not linearly biographical. And just because you know the song doesn't mean you know Will. The outro also kind of sings to me that his heart, to me, his heart is filling up with feelings, not people. And that's why the faces get blurred. Because it's the feelings that are filling his heart. And then the feelings are becoming overwhelming, not the faces. The faces get lost because of the overwhelming nature of all the feelings that his heart is gathering. Track 8, Maud Gone, from Monomania. And this, I love the organ, the synth intro. It reminds me of a roller rink, okay? I mean, seriously. And the song is a reference to Maud Gonne, Gonne, who was a literary inspiration and muse for the poet William Butler Yeats. And so it kind of twists around in an opposite way on a Yeats love poem. When Willis is asking, "Sweetheart, love me too long," that's kind of flipping what Yeats was saying in his poems, that you shouldn't love too long because you'll drop out of fashion. It also seems the song is saying that every moment is a moment suited for love. I mean, you've got the line, "There's a full moon every night." Yeah, there's a full moon every night. The availability of love is there all the time, every moment. Track 9 is Los Borrachos. Parenthetically, I don't have any hope left, but the weather is nice. This is also from Monomania. It has kind of a cheesy opening, but then when Will starts singing, the song kind of pulls together. And the refrain, I just really love. I miss those good old boys. They could still find joy in life to talk about. It's just a very simple homage to friends that, you miss. And the bridge sort of expresses the sentiment that you must own your own thoughts and feelings, which can kind of contribute to a feeling of not belonging while you're still in the group. So your friends may accept you, but they don't necessarily get you, and that's okay. All right? I mean, that's why they're your friends, right? It kind of subtly touches on nihilism, the parenthetical part, or nihilism, I should say. I don't have any hope left, but the weather is nice. Yeah, life is pointless, but don't mess with my vibe, man, okay? So, yeah, it's a bit nihilistic there, but that's cool. Track 10 is Bad Role Models, which is teenagers, put your clothes back on. This is the only new song, although it does have some connections to earlier material. I believe kind of from the release number 3. It's not a bad song, but I do think it's the weakest one of the whole set. And then the final track is Oh Starving from Starving While Living. And it seems to be about this starving for challenge, that things that make you contemplate, sort of an enjoyable intellectualism. And so you've got the line, goodbye secret files, when I'm gone all this information will die. And in the way he sings it, goodbye secret files, when I'm gone all this information will die. You know, I have a terrible voice, but I love the way he sings it. It's like, you know, everything that's inside of us, all of our thoughts, our hopes, our ambitions, our emotions, they're gonna be gone when we're dead. When we cease to exist, everything inside of us is gonna be gone. It's a bit of a different take on the line that I close all my videos with, which comes from a Johnny Flynn song. Pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead. All right? Yeah, but it's not morose. It's just a realization of how, to me anyway, how special life is, and that it's up to us to make the most of what we can. Kind of like the line in the film Auntie Mame. Life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving. Well, yeah, life is a banquet, and most of us are not taking advantage of the opportunities that life presents to us. And I think that's really kind of what's going on with this song, in my view. I think it also draws on some Buddhist concepts, particularly that of samsara, the suffering of life, which can be as simple as, you know, life is just so goddamn mundane and boring. But again, it's still up to us to redirect and change our life, and that can be a serious challenge if we let other forces around us overwhelm us, which is kind of the point or the issue that Shinji, the main character in the Evangelion mythos, faced. You know, that he finally realized that, you know, if his life sucks, it's because he made it suck, and he can change that. So, whoa, what did I just do here? Did I just toss a reference to an anime series from the 1990s? So, you know, anyway, that's my take on this here album, the first one for Matador that Will Toledo and Car Seat Headrest put together, Teens of Style. And I really enjoy this, and as I say, I'm really digging getting into and learning more about Car Seat Headrest. I'm really looking forward to new material. I just think his songwriting is just absolutely incredible, and I think the band that he has together is working really well with him, and I'm just, really eager to hear more and maybe even see them perform live. That would be so great. So yeah, I'll have some video links in the down under. You know, leave a comment, your own thoughts. You know, maybe you think I'm full of shit. You know, but be effective in how you present your different point of view. You know, don't fall into the trap of, you know, just be nice. I don't want to go too far with that, but because I like disagreements, you know, and I've seen comments from others that have different takes on some of the things that I talk about, and I'm like, that person has a really good point, you know, and it gets me to think. So yeah, check it out, and always remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.